What is happening, everyone? Welcome to the Crafty Couple, and I am joined today by two smiling Reds because we have had probably one of the most mental weeks ever in football history. We thought we were losing our club. We thought we were losing the beautiful game, and it's just like Rocky. It's come out of nowhere. It's got back up and it saved itself. But the battle is not over just yet. We do have to get those verminous bastards out. And Keno, mate, what better way than the protest on Saturday? I know you can't make it, but you're obviously delighted, hoping to see some great videos and great content from it.
Yeah, look, absolutely. I think first and foremost, I think for all of us, the start of this week was traumatic. I think if that's the word you could actually use, I think traumatic is probably the word. Like, I think we were all in bits when the news came out Sunday during the game against Burnley. Like, we couldn't even celebrate beating a team we haven't beaten in a couple of years at home because of the Super League news coming out. And then the uncertainty of the Super League news, we thought we were going to be kicked out of the Premier League. We thought, it was going to be closed off. Like, we thought we were going to be betrayed as football fans, which we were by the Glazers. And to kind of see Ed Woodward leave this week, to see the fans unite, there's a protest tomorrow. Everything in that regard looks it's looking a lot more positive than it was, 5-6 days ago. But look, as you said, protest this weekend hopefully is the first step in many steps that need to be taken to get them venomous bastards out of the football club. And I think first and foremost, as Man United fans, regardless of what side of the fence you're on in terms of whether you're Ollie in, whether you're Ollie out, whether you like fan channels, whether you don't like fan channels, or whatever side of the fence you're on with regards to any of them type of things, this is where everyone needs to put all them differences aside and everyone needs to move forward and unite as a fan base, because we're known as Manchester United. So why can't we be united by name and united by nature? So look, for me, it's definitely a step forward, and hopefully we can get these bastards out.
Oh, mate, I'm hoping and praying. I'm hoping to see green and yellow smoke flares, green and yellow scarves twirling around like the one on my neck. I mean, Greg, you were saying before you definitely would be down in Manchester, but Nicola Sturgeon has spoken, and like Keane, it would cost you a shitload of money to do so because you'd have to quarantine in a hotel. But Look, man, it's good to see, isn't it? Just a bit of progress and the possibility that after 16 years of a tyrannical ownership that it might be coming to an end now, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And it took more than just Man United fans being upset, and it took actually the Glazers having an influence on more than just Man United, because we've had fans for years, obviously Yanks for Manchester and things like that, and we get wound up for years now about having American owners, and obviously you had Man City fans before chanting USA at Man United, and it came back and it bit them on the arse. It really did this week, because they tried to completely take everyone out, and then it took something like this for everyone now to turn on the Glazers. It's not a case, because that's what was so good, especially for those first couple of days. It wasn't just Man United fans that were talking about Glazers out. It was literally football fans everywhere across the country that was doing it. And it's because Man United fans were also seeing the same issue happen across with Arsenal as well, and wanting Kroenke out. And we just need these people out of the game. And it took something like this to get people to genuinely care about it and realise it's not a laugh, because how many times have you seen billionaires fail at something and they just die out? It's fine, and we just won't try it again. They'll do it again. They're going to try again. 100%. They'll come back and they'll do it with a bit more sensibly. They'll PR it better, everything like that. So we need to get them out of the game quickly and as quick as possible. And the best way we can do that is exactly what Arsenal fans are doing tonight, exactly what Chelsea fans did before the game against Brighton, exactly what Man United fans are going to do tomorrow, hopefully, and just make a noise, be heard, notice. Because Joe Glazer knows that he messed up and knows that he's now in trouble, because he's done things in the past that have maybe warranted apology messages and things like that. Selling £450 million worth of shares and then not sending a single penny back to the club is warrant for an apology enough. But the fact that he was goaded into sending out that letter to United fans to try and win our trust back, or whatever it was that he was ranting on about, it's never going to happen. There was no trust there. But he knows that he's really messed up. And he knows, I don't think he's quite aware of the backlash that this is going to have for a long time. I think he's hoping that Man United fans will be Man United fans, and they'll go between Ollie out and Ollie in, and whether it will turn on each other, and that can't happen. We've got to all focus on trying to get the Glazers out as quick as possible.
Yeah, it should be as you both said there. It's bang on it. We need to be unified as a fan base, which is something we haven't been for a very long time. I don't think I've ever seen any unification around the fan base. I mean, I've seen it firsthand. I mean, I remember when Adam was doing his fan cam with the United stand, and people attacked him, and there is no unification of it. People don't like a lot of the YouTube stuff. That's fair enough. You don't like it, don't watch it. I don't like Liverpool. I don't like City. I don't fucking watch them. That's as simple as. If you don't like it, don't watch it. So, but it doesn't matter. You just need to. I said it a second as the protest was announced. You need to put your divides aside for the better of the club, and hopefully now this could be a movement. I want to see that sort of energy, like you were saying, that like the Arsenal protest. It looks mental. It looks like there's over 1,000 people there. And I want to see that sort of a turnout tomorrow. I want to see loads of people coated out in green and yellow. That's what I want to see. Green and gold till we're sold. That is the main aim of tomorrow, man. I mean, Keane, moving forward with the club, I mean, what do you think are the best options? I mean, there's talk about the 50+1 rule. I mean, I've seen Andy Burnham was talking about possible legislation with having the season ticket holders having a vote before any key dealings are done with the club. So there's a 51% have to agree for it to go through. So, I mean, what do you think is going to be the best thing moving forward for the club?
Yeah, look, the 50+1 thing is obviously the best way forward, isn't it? Like the Germans adopted that model, and look, it works. So particularly fine for them. We see how well run them clubs are. So that's definitely the way forward. If that can't be a possibility, then I'd like to think maybe someone competent coming in, buying the club, and obviously getting football people running the club. Because then, obviously there's more direction there. Like obviously Ed Woodward leaving, I think for me, the only one person I want to come in and replace him is Edmund van der Sar. I want him to come in and replace Ed Woodward. That's one person I definitely want to see come into this football club. But ultimately, look, I think the main aim here is to get the owners out. And I think 50+1 is definitely the best way to do it, because the fans then have the final say. And at the end of the day, the fans are the most important people of the football club, because without the fans, as Matt Busby rightly said, football is nothing. So it is the best way moving forward, and it just depends on whether the UK government now can be quick enough to get this legislation in, and we can make progress, because the longer the Glazers are there, the longer it's going to take for us to progress where we want to be as a football club, as a fan base. We can talk about Ollie making progress, Ollie winning trophies, Ollie doing this, that and the other. Ollie could finish second and win the Europa League this year. Doesn't necessarily guarantee that he's going to be back in the summer. Do you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, you do need to have the right ownership. You need to have the right things in place at board level to achieve stuff on a football level. So most definitely 50+1, definitely the way to go forward. But if you can't achieve that, then there's obviously other alternatives. Maybe someone obviously from a lucrative background coming in, buying the club, and then obviously putting football people, not investment bankers, on board level to obviously move forward.
Yeah, and I mean, if 50+1 isn't an option, fan representation within the board of directors is definitely a step in the right direction, if it's possible. But how true that representation will be if they're appointed, you don't know until you try these things. But it's worth a go, isn't it? It's worth going for it and trying our best to try and make some sort of a change, because the way our club is being run and has been run for the last 16 years has been nothing short of a disgrace. We've had over £1 billion taken out of our club, and Man City have had over £1 billion pumped in. And you can see the difference. They're dominating English football, and we're playing catch up. I mean, Greg, mate, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think as nice as it would be to be able to get someone to just come in and buy the club, it's especially now, like it's a lot of money. Like you're saying $3.5 billion probably to get to buy what the Glazers have, maybe $4 billion to get complete ownership of Manchester United. So I think the best way forward in terms of short-term planning, the best would be what Andy Burnham was talking about having fans, season ticket holders have to vote for a 51% majority, because that's able to be brought in quick, and it can be done through legislation that makes it then illegal. It's not something that just, oh, the Premiership are enforcing it or UEFA are enforcing it, because we all know how well they enforce things. Like, if it's government legislation that have to get involved and say, no, you're going to listen to your fans, you're not allowed to make any business decisions unless they're spoken to. That's the best way forward. The 50+1 would be brilliant. The only issue with the 50+1 system in England is there are so many smaller clubs that don't have the fan base the size of Manchester United that would be at more of a disadvantage, because they have owners that have a lot of money and are able to sort of keep them at that Premier League level. It's worked so well in Germany because they did it before they had a big TV deal, and before really they had many large established European clubs. Obviously, they've always had Bayern Munich and things like that. But because they got in early, it was really easy for them to bring in. It would be great if they could bring that in England, but I think the most realistic option, the fastest way to do it, is to get those season ticket holders to have a majority vote on it, and then that's when decisions can be made with the club. And not every little decision, because there's some decisions, but like things like getting Old Trafford up to a standard to actually be able to visit, like that because they've just left it for 15 years to do nothing. Things like that need done and that an owner should be doing. That's what needs to be voted on. I think that would be the best way forward, is to ask the season ticket holders, and the quickest.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, man. I mean, Reese has come up here with a suggestion that the governing body should punish the Glazers by making them pay off our debts, essentially, and then fine and make a mandatory sale or sell to a fans group. I mean, that's a great idea in principle, but just in putting it into practice, I just don't see it being a logical one. I'd love to see that happen, but it's just not something that can be. The government can't enforce them to do that. So
that can't be done overnight. Like that can't be done overnight. I think that's the problem. I think anything in terms of getting these Glazers out, like legislation, that can't be done overnight. It's probably, when you look at it, it's probably more realistic if someone who has the money can go in and buy the club. That's probably more realistic than legislation at this stage. Do you know? But like either way, do you know? I think you're going to have to try find someone who's going to cough up 3.5 to 4 billion pounds to buy the football club, and then, do you know? And then at the same time, like you have to find do the government take to be efficient and implement that 50+1 rule. But then at the same time, again, as Greg said, the smaller football clubs, it can't be realistic for them. So this is the problem. I think, you know, we might be stuck with these bastards maybe for another a year to 18 months because of this situation, you know.
Yeah, I know what you're saying there, Keane, but in terms of the 50+1 rule, I don't think you're never see the full German version in this country. It's just not possible. It's just not plausible. The clubs are too big entities. You know, the likes of Sheikh Mansour, they're not a Roman Abramovich. They're not going to sell up. You know, the Thai owners in Leicester. It's just not going to happen. But in terms of the legislation, in terms of having fans, season ticket holders have a vote on key decisions made in the club, that's possible to be implemented within the next 6 to 12 months, I'd say. So that's a plausible thing, and that would be a huge step in the right direction in terms of rebuilding the club. But Keane, mate, I've just got to go to you quickly because Big Ron, he's a big fan of the show here. He's a regular contributor. He's asked you for a prediction on Masvidal versus Usman. I just thought I'd bring it in now. Might as well.
Do you know what? Last time they fought, I wanted Masvidal to win because I was a big fan of him. But seeing Masvidal in the last couple of months aligning himself with Jake Paul, I've completely turned against him, and he's after selling his soul. So I'm going for another Kamaru Usman 50-45, and he's going to win in convincing fashion.
Fair play. I mean, the only UFC I watch is when Conor McGregor's fighting because it's a good bit of crack. But I mean, there's a lot of things going on in the world of football. But I mean, there's one more thing I do want to go into before I go on to this weekend's fixtures. Of Florentino Perez, and I said it in our group chat. I mean, he is talking like a bloke who is at 3:00 in the morning, is absolutely off his nut on some, marching powder and fairy dust that he's found from a lovely man, and he's talking like an absolute madman. I mean, Greg, mate, what are your thoughts when you heard the interview? He sounded like a dithering old cunt.
He's losing it, isn't he? He's absolutely losing it. Every time he opens his mouth, he sounds more and more like he's completely gone. He sounds more and more senile by the day. And it's all blown up in his face. And he thought it was going to be this great idea. And obviously, he said last night that, I think he said it was the leader of La Liga that told the Chelsea supporters to go and protest outside Brighton. And he has just absolutely lost it. His one aim of this was for Real Madrid, and no one, and that's the same. Like Barcelona haven't voted against it yet because their one aim is saving Barcelona, and same with Juventus. Their one aim is to help Juventus. Whereas, like in this country, they were met by a fan base that wanted football. They didn't just want one club to succeed. What I think is really interesting as well is if in lockdown, if that Project Big Picture was voted through, the Premier League clubs probably couldn't have voted against.
No, they wouldn't have been able to because the top six have the most voting power. So yeah,
exactly. So all these clubs that are coming out and saying, "Oh, we were notified late and we just joined late." No, you didn't, because you cannot tell me that Project Big Picture wasn't a plan. Like, if we get this through, we've got more voting power, and then when we move away next year to go and do our Super League, no one can stop us. But yeah, Perez he's absolutely lost it. He seems convinced it's still going to happen. I'm convinced they'll try it again, but it won't even get this far. Like it's just going to get shot down straight away. But he's absolutely mental.
He's a complete nutter, and to be honest, you can see you made the point there in terms of saving Real Madrid, saving Barcelona. I mean, it's well documented Barcelona's debts, and he clearly said it himself. He wanted it so. He basically said, "How are we supposed to sign the likes of Haaland and Mbappe?" Well, you don't, mate. You don't always get what you want.
Yeah, Real Madrid is else's problem.
Real Madrid is like
sign Danny Ings in the summer. That's what they can do. He's 1 year left in his deal. Real Madrid can sign him as number 9. Suck it up, you bunch of cunts.
Danny Ings would be a signing and a half.
I would love to see Danny Ings at Real Madrid. I would love nothing more than for Danny Ings to put on the shirt of Los Blancos. I'd probably buy a shirt just for that reason. Just with Danny Ings on the back.
Podcast earlier on today. There was Barcelona fans that were like, so it was like a podcast, but it was like they had like some fans come on as well, and it was like there was Barcelona fans coming on saying they were in favour of the Super League because it would help Barcelona, and they're like, but it would ruin European football. I was like, yeah, but Barcelona would have money. And I was like, that is a mental outlook on anything. Like, if you like football, surely you like watching. Like, I like football, but I'll sit and watch games as a neutral. Like, if there's football on, I'll watch it. So I couldn't imagine not watching top level. Like, it just seems so strange. Like, so many were coming on. About eight of the 12 or something that they spoke to were like, yeah, Super League should have happened because Barcelona had this much money, and it's mental. It's absolutely insane.
I mean, you can see it though. I mean, I heard someone talking on the radio today. I mean, if you look through it, I'm not sure about the rest of European football history, but if you look through British football in England, you have periods of dominance from, a variety of teams. It's not just, Manchester United and Liverpool. So you've got the 60s where you have that, obviously, that amazing Tottenham, that double winning team from Spurs. You've had the periods of Liverpool, periods of Man United, periods of Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa winning the cup. Early days of the 50s with Stanley Matthews, Preston winning the league. You've had loads of different teams where the old first division was very much like the Championship. It was very open. But in terms of, if you look in Spain's history, it's just Real Madrid and Barcelona, and then there's the odd one. There's the odd Valencia. There's the odd Rayo Vallecano, not Vallecano, but Deportivo. Yeah, that was it. And just the odd few glittered in among it.
Atletico Madrid would win it. Like, other than that, like, you're absolutely right. It was just Barcelona, Real Madrid, but like. Again, like, you look at Barcelona and Real Madrid have hemorrhaged cash for years, and especially in the last 5 years, Barcelona really they've went away from bringing up players in the academy, and they've went out and tried to do big money signings, and the vast majority of them have flopped. That's their own fault. Like, they haven't.
I don't think there's one that's been successful, Keane. To be honest, mate.
No, none. Like, you look at it. Right? You look at the players they've signed in the last 5 years: Griezmann, Dembele, Coutinho. Even I'm trying to think, there's one there. They signed
even Frankie De Jong is not even a good. Yeah. He's not set the world alight by any stretch.
Yeah, Frankie De Jong again. Like, players like that, they haven't set the world alight. Like, Jesus Christ, last year they had to make emergency signing for Martin fucking Braithwaite because he is
number 9 at Barcelona.
I can't he couldn't get a game for Middlesbrough
for that.
Suarez left and he went, "Can I get the number 9 shirt?" And they actually gave him it. Like, that is mental.
That shows the state of what their football club is in at the moment. People can talk about Manchester United and people can talk about the way we're ran, right? We're ran like a fucking shithouse of a club by the Glazers. Mm-hmm. But Barcelona are running themselves into the ground. Real Madrid running themselves into the ground. And just because Real Madrid, you're in 900 million of debt, just because all these other clubs are in debt doesn't mean that, you know, the Premier League has to be sacrificed as a result of that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's what it was. It was to try and catch up in the Premier League, wasn't it? Like Real Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus, they're all falling behind the Premier League, and they're seeing that in Man City and Liverpool over the last 2 years. So you can see why they wanted a model that would try and give the same amount of money, because the Premier League's in the best position to build superstar teams going forward. Like City and Liverpool will be the first signs of that in the last little while. Obviously, with Man United dropping off and Arsenal before that dropping off. Chelsea are coming back as well, so it was a ploy as well to try and catch up to them and see what they could do to stick around with them, but it failed massively.
It failed massively, and I hope that they don't even make an attempt to try and reignite it, because if they do, it will just be completely shut down again. Because I cannot see any situation where, as in, I've been going since I was a kid. I cannot see any situation. The people I've known for, you know, pretty much my whole life going up and down with my dad, I can't see any situation where they would continue going to watch United if this was to happen. I personally wouldn't be able to. I personally would give up my season ticket. I wouldn't be able to go. I'd go and watch non-league football. Like I wouldn't be able to go and watch United again. It wouldn't sit right with me going and go and play Real Madrid every second week. And do you know what I mean? The reason it's special,
then it would be rubbish. It'd be good. The first season would be great, and then it'd be absolutely rubbish.
Yeah, but and also we it's been obviously brought up as well. The likes of Sky taking the moral high ground and stuff, and you know for a fact that Sky would be bidding the fuck out of that.
Sky and BT, both of them.
Yeah, both of them, 100%. I mean, obviously that's not representing the views of Gary Neville. Gary Neville has his own views on that. Gary Neville is not the mouthpiece of Sky. That's something that a lot of people are confusing. I think personally, it's a shit show, and it will happen eventually. That is the sad case of it, though, I think. And eventually I'm probably going to have to stop supporting the club that I love, adore, and have had my entire life. But for right now, I'm buzzing because it's not happened. But I feel like it's probably delaying something that will happen within the next 10 to 15 years. I mean, Keane, do you think that that's going to be the case?
I certainly hope not, but with the way modern football is going, you can never say never. You know, like I think it could happen at some stage, but I think you have to look at it and say, will the fans allow it to happen? Like you look at the uproar that happened in such a short space of time, and they backed out. Like you have to think about this: will sponsors back this type of stuff if they know the fans are going to not get behind it? Like you look at big sponsors like Adidas and TeamViewer. Look at that for United, for example, right? United tried to jump out the Champions League, right, this year by going into the Super League. I dare to say there's clauses in them contracts with them sponsors that you have to be in the Champions League.
Yeah, there definitely is. There was a clause in the Adidas contract as well.
Yeah, like you think about that with them, right? And think about all the other clubs, Arsenal's and Spurs, Liverpool, whoever. They all have them little clauses with European football in them. So you have to say, right now, in the short-term scheme of things, I don't think this Super League is plausible to go ahead. But you can look at maybe, let's say 5-10 years down the line, there might be another talk about this. But again, if the competitive aspect is taken out of the equation, like this Super League was taking it out, the fans won't stand for it. And there will be uproar, there'll be protests. Like we're coming so close now to a point where fans can come back to the stadiums. We're nearly there now. Like in terms of coming back to full capacity, that's like we're a couple of months away from that. This is probably their ideal time to do it when the fans weren't in the stadiums. I dare to think if fans are in the stadiums, will they get away with it? I don't think so.
Not a chance.
Not a chance. I mean, but I've seen it as well in terms of like if you try and bring a banner that is anti-Glazer, it's taken off you. If you bring like they've done it before now. It's more recent times. Obviously, it's since Sir Alex has left when they've done the Glazer out protest, and any anti-Glazer banner or sort of scarves are all right, but the big banners that they hold over the Stretford end, anything like that has completely taken off people. People have been banned and stuff for speaking out against the club. It's quite sad. I mean, I've seen people in terms of the MUTV thing as well. Like anytime anyone calls in, mentions the Glazers, they are straight away cut off the line. They're trying to run it like a dictatorship, and it's just never going to happen. I mean, it's sad to see, but hopefully those verminous bastards will be leaving us soon.
Yeah,
that's the only prayer that we do have. I mean, do you know what? I don't know how you guys feel, but the football doesn't seem as significant now to me this weekend. I mean, Keane, how are you feeling? Do you think the football's as significant this weekend now just because of what's happened?
Football to me will always be significant. It's the old enemy we're playing now on Sunday, Leeds United. That game will feel big. But usually during this type of week, we'd be talking about a big game, big rivalry. Sky Sports be throwing up promos all over the shop for this game. But the Super League talk has overshadowed any football and situations this week. Liverpool are fighting for top 4 the other day, and all they're talking about was the Super League. Do you know what I mean? United are a couple of games away from settling second place. All we're talking about is Super League. There's a relegation battle. West Brom playing Leicester last night. All they're talking about is the Super League. I think the Super League has taken over the significance of the games this week. But if you're a football fan, I think you still have to say every game that these football clubs have this week, they're all significant. In their own right, they're all still significant. So hopefully by Sunday, they're talking about the game and they're talking about tactics and how the game is going to be won rather than the Super League. Obviously, it's going to be there. They're going to be talking about it. But for me, I'd rather kind of focus now. Obviously, the protest is tomorrow. Obviously, most of us can't go there because of what the travel restrictions are like at the moment. But I think you have to say, let the people who can protest, and that's fine. But the pundits now, they just need to talk about the game on Sunday because it's one of the biggest games in English football history, and that rivalry needs to be focused on Sunday.
100%, I do agree with you. But in terms of you remember yourself watching the Burnley game. Me and you were on with Adam afterwards. We didn't even talk about the game. We were distraught. That's the only way I could describe it. We were absolutely distraught. We couldn't even think about football because we thought we'd lost the thing that we've all loved our whole lives, and we've got it back, in some form. And it's a bit of a weird one, though. I mean, Greg, how has it affected your view on the football this weekend? What are you thinking?
Yeah, like Keane said, it just seems like the games, because normally with this week, like with football every single night, it would be brilliant. Like people would be buzzing because we're all football fans at the end of the day. We're going to watch most football. But I think Keane's right. I think what annoyed me so much about the way the news came out is I understand Sky have a job to present it and to be a news source and everything like that. I don't think that job should fall on Gary Neville's shoulders halfway through a game, because it was, like you said, it was very hard to watch the game when all they were talking about, because not even the commentators were talking about the game that was going on. So if they don't care, why should anyone else care? Not even Man United fans or Burnley fans. Why should people watching it in general care? So I hope they just get back to talking about the football. They're doing a special right now, which is like something to do with it happening for half an hour. So maybe that'll be their last big piece on it, and then they'll just drop in a little bits of news here and then. But yeah, I don't know. I would love it on Sunday if they just, obviously they're going to talk about it a little bit, but I'd really like a genuine bit of analysis pre-game and during the game and then after the game that's about the game. Like how long we had, like you didn't even get all these post-match thoughts on Sunday. Like they were on the app or something, like because all they were doing was talking about the Super League, and I understand it's a big story and things like that. So hopefully moving forward we'll just get to enjoy football, because that's what I said to you earlier on. I was like, I just want to enjoy football again. I'm just interested in watching Man United on Sunday. I just hope this isn't in the head of the players too much and they've not been distracted and they've been able to just get down and focus, because over the last few weeks I think they've been outstanding, and it's now the last final push of the season. We've got a chance to win something, finish a very comfortable second, show everyone that we are the second best team in this country. And I just hope it doesn't play on the players' minds. I hope they just go out there and do their job and rip apart an awful Leeds side. So
rip apart Bielsa ball, which has been talked up like nothing this season. I mean, Big Ron has made a point about he feeling disillusioned with football. I did see somewhere today how official it was. I'm not too sure, but it was that UEFA were going to take no action against
that's true.
the 6 clubs. So there's no action going to be taken. We're not going to be banned for the Champions League. So, I mean, I'm sure there will be some sort of a sanction from the Premier League, but how effective it will be, it remains to be seen. But I doubt it will. I doubt it will affect them greatly. I mean, what did City get fined? Like 250 grand when they were supposed to get a 2-year ban.
The biggest breach in US history or something like that.
Yeah. So I mean, look, I've got about as much faith I've got about as much faith in footballing bodies as Katie Price's last husband did in her. That's honestly how I feel about that. But it's look, there is football on this weekend, so let's talk about it and let's shut up about these miserable bastards that are trying to get more money in their greedy back pockets. And just going to focus on the big ones. I mean, Liverpool are playing at 12:30, but fuck them. And at 5:30 tomorrow, West Ham are playing Chelsea. And if you'd have said to me that the 34th game of the season between West Ham and Chelsea would be a top 4 title decider, I'd have brought you down to a mental institution and checked you in myself. I mean, Greg, mate, how do you see this one playing out? Because if West Ham win this game, they're in the driving seat to get top 4 in Champions League for Moyes.
Yeah, I know.
And I mean, our boy Jesse Lingardinho. I mean, what are you thinking?
Well, they're flying, aren't they? They're playing really well. Moyes has got that team playing sort of how is the most effective. It's not the most pretty football. It's not the most. They obviously conceding a lot of goals late on, but they're absolutely flying. They're on a good run. I still think Chelsea will have a bit too much for them. Like Chelsea they've got stars all over the pitch. They're starting to find a little bit of form under Tuchel. They need to find a way to score more goals, though. I think that's the only way. Maybe the only way I could see West Ham is by outscoring them. So I don't think both teams. I think Chelsea are much better defensively. Although as we saw against West Brom, they can be susceptible to be ripped apart if you get them early, because you can get beat by 10, down to 10 men, but conceding 5 to the worst team, one of the worst teams in the league, is still pretty bad, regardless of how you spin it. You having 10 men having to go for it, you conceded 5 to West Brom, and yeah, West Ham are absolutely fine. I would like them to do it. I would love for West Ham to do it. I think it'd be hilarious for one of the big to miss out, because Leicester and West Ham did it. But I still feel like Chelsea have a little bit too much for them. And they've got the players that have got the experience as well of being in these big games, coming toward 34th, 35th, 36th game of the season, where they need wins. Chelsea should have too much for them, but I'll be hoping West Ham can pull off an upset.
Hoping West Ham can pull off an upset. Keen, mate, is Jesse Lingardinho going to be doing the moonwalk at the London Stadium in front of Tommy T?
Do you know what? At the start of the season on my own channel, I done a Premier League season preview, and we previewed who was going to get relegated, who was going to finish top 6, who was going to win the league, etc. There were 6 was on the show. 5 out of the 6 was predicted West Ham to get relegated this season under David Moyes, right? I couldn't imagine that they'd be even top half the table, never mind in the top 4 race, 33 games gone. For me, I want to see Chelsea drop out of the top 4 because the money they've invested, it would be very kind of, I suppose, for us, very good to see, especially from Ollie's point of view. It's because we invested nothing and we're on course for finishing second. And selfishly, because I'm a massive Jesse Lingard advocate, and I'd love to see him, just put a few past Chelsea tomorrow. I think banter-wise, for me, I think our group chat tomorrow would be quite sensational if Lingard managed to do that. But I think this is going to be a draw. I don't think this will be a deciding game. I think there's Chelsea still have their final 4 games are really, really tough. And I think that's where it's going to be decided. I think Liverpool have to play us as well. So I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. I do think Lingard will put him 1-0 up. I think they will put him 1-0 up. But Mason Mount is going to get the equaliser because he's been top notch for Chelsea this season. I do have to admit that.
No, you can't deny Mason Mount's quality. He has been unbelievable this season, and I think he gets a lot of grief for the old teacher pet thing. But he's a quality footballer. There's no doubt about that. I don't think anyone could deny that at this point. He has pretty much been their main player throughout the last probably season and a half, I'd say. There is an 8:00 kickoff, which is Sheffield United versus Brighton. But I mean, anyone who look, Sheffield United are already down. Brighton obviously do have something to play for, but are we interested in talking about that? I don't think we are, lads, to be honest, because it's just not one of them. It's not one of them. No one's really excited for that one. And moving on to Sunday's fixtures then, and we Wolves versus Burnley, but that's not what we're here for. We're here for the 2:00. As Keane said, the old enemies. We are travelling to Ellen Road for the first time. We played them in the League Cup with Michael. Michael Owen was playing for us when we played them in the League Cup. I remember the game very bad. Good game. We won like 3-1 or something, and then
3-0.
Was it 3-0? Yeah, and
Berbatov went centre half in the second half. We ran out of substitutions, and Berbatov had to go in centre half.
I remember that season because I think we were playing like Evra was playing like left wing, and we had like Richie Delat at left back. Good old days, and we still win the league. But yeah, Leeds obviously first trip to Ellen Road in a long time, and obviously without the fans. But you know, it's a tough game, and Leeds seem to have bucked up their ideas since that 6-2 defeat at Old Trafford, and it will be a very tough game. And it's going to be a struggle to get 3 points out of there, I think, man. I mean, Keane, I know you're going to completely batter away what I've just said, but what are you thinking, mate?
It won't be 6-2. I'll give you that. It won't be 6-2. But Leeds' style of play plays into our hands. It's like RB Leipzig when we played them at Old Trafford. It's the same thing. They only know to play one way, and that's front foot football. They can't park the bus. They got lucky beating City like last week, right? It was all well and good we bantered them, right? The City fans last week, but they got lucky. Leeds got lucky. We've too much quality for them. I think Cavani will tear them two centre halves apart. I think they will score though, because again, set pieces, look, we're bound to concede from one. It just always happens. But I think our movement up front is going to be too much firm. I think when you look at the way Bruno plays, you look at Cavani, Greenwood's on fire at the minute again. And obviously, look, if Marcus Rashford's even 60 to 70% fit, he tears Luke Ayling a new one and sends him back to the Championship. So for me, I think United win 3-1 Sunday. And again, look, it's another step further to progress.
3-1 on Sunday. I mean, Greg, are you thinking along the same lines, or do you think it will be a repeat of what happened at Old Trafford? Do you think Scotty too hotty might even get a hat trick this time as opposed to a brace?
Oh, you should have had a hat trick the first game. But no, I would love it to be like it was the first game. But Bielsa's a smart manager as much as his team sometimes show him not to be. As senseless as Leeds look sometimes when they sort of put 8 players and bomb them forward and then get caught in the break and then are sat and then there's pundits afterwards. Didn't Leeds play well? I was like, yeah, but they conceded 5, so they didn't play that well. Like they get beat consistently, and people like to build this narrative that don't they play such beautiful football? I was like, yeah, but if they were rock bottom of the league, you wouldn't be saying that. You'd be saying that they're too leaky and everything like that.
You say that Brighton were like 18th for like 6 weeks, and everyone was still. Everyone's
saying Graham Potter should have been United manager, even though they're in the relegation zone. I didn't get it.
They were creating like the 3rd most chances in the league. Leeds just don't create, like they just bomb forward senselessly, put in a useless cross, it gets cleared, and then they get counter-attacked.
Yeah, but have you ever seen that geezer on Football Daily, that Chris Hamill? Like, you think
he's a bit too much.
Honestly, I reckon if Graham Potter dropped his trousers, he'd bend over for him, no problem.
Genuinely, there was a 4-minute or 5-minute compilation on Twitter going around a few weeks ago that was every clear-cut chance by Opta and what they deemed a clear-cut chance missed by Brighton this season. And honestly, we could have put some of them in. Like, some of the chances they've missed are awful. But yeah, I think Man United, I wouldn't be surprised to see us go 1-0 down because we always seem to start slow, especially after the week that our players have had. Obviously, any question that they do in terms of media or anything that would have been asked in the last sort of 4 or 5 days is going to be about that Super League. So I wouldn't be surprised for us to be caught cold, go 1-0 down, and then sort of our quality to shine through. I reckon 2-1. I think it'll be a lot closer than at Old Trafford. I would say 2-1 United, and Greenwood to score again.
2-1 United. Greenwood to score again. I mean, boys, I'm just going to get your predicted 11s off you as well now while we're here. I mean, in terms of a back five, I don't think we're going to see any changes, to be fair. Bailly has come back fit, but I feel like he might come in for the Roma game on Thursday. I mean, Keane, are you sticking with the same back five?
Yeah. Lindelof, Maguire, Shaw, Wan-Bissaka, Dean Henderson. No question.
Greg, are you the same, mate?
Yep, same back five, yep.
Yeah, and then in terms, well, I'll just split it to 5 and 6. I mean, in terms of our midfield and our attack there, Keane, who are you going for?
I go with a midfield 3 of Scott McTominay, Paul Pogba, Bruno Fernandes.
Ooh,
I'd love that. I'd love a 3.
He loves a 3. I mean, Gregory, are you going to love a 3?
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be McFred and then Pogba on the right, but I hope it's not. And just maybe, I think he might rely on Cavani on Thursday, and Cavani to play 2 games in sort of 4 or 5 days could be difficult. I think they might rely on Cavani's experience and what will be quite a young team on Thursday. So I feel like it'll be McFred and then Bruno in front of them too.
McFred, Bruno in front of them too. I'm going to agree with Keane's one. I'd like to see that as midfield 3, to be honest. So I'm hoping for that one. And then in terms of the front 3, lads, who are we going for? Greg, I'll go to you first, mate.
I reckon it'll be Pogba on the right, Rashford on the left, and Greenwood for the middle.
Pogba right, Rashford left, Greenwood middle. Keno?
I'll go Greenwood off the right, Cavani up top, Rashford on the left. If Rashford didn't train today, though, so if he doesn't make it, I'll go Daniel James on the left because he played really well against him the last time.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I'd have a Welsh wizard, Dan James, on the left-hand side because our other Welsh wizard from the left-hand side is quite disgraced at the moment. So I think he might have his banner removed from the Stretford end of the rate he's going. So I'd say Daniel James, Cavani, and then Mason Gunwood on the right-hand side. And, hopefully we can do him. I mean, can you make a score prediction for you?
I'll go 3-1 United.
3-1 United. Greg's going with 2-1, and I'm going to say 3-1 as well. Fuck it. Then we move on to the other, sort of the other main event of the weekend, which is Spurs versus City. And I mean, Keane, you love. I've never met a man who loves to take the piss out of Spurs more in my entire life than you, Keane. I mean, I like to take the piss out of them too, but I've never met someone who likes to take the piss out of them more than you do. I mean, there's a lot in our group chat, but I mean, what are your thoughts on this weekend, mate? Do you think that Spurs can end that very barren spell of 13 years without a bit of silverware and bring home the Carabao Cup?
First of all, right, I actually don't hate Spurs that too much. I hated their previous manager, which we were actually talking about last week, and I was saying he might be sacked by the end of the season. So I just want to address this now. I warned you. You didn't want to believe me. I told you you'd get season 3 Mourinho in season 2. You got him in season 1.5. I told you so. That's all I have to say. But in terms of their hunt for a trophy, I'd love to see Ryan Mason go out and actually win the trophy for Spurs on Sunday. Obviously, he's 29 years of age. Obviously, he had his career taken away from him a lot earlier than it should have been. And it'd be kind of poetic to see it, kind of that happen at his former club in his second game in charge. And, be kind of, to see City not get another trophy, be kind of good. It could demoralise him. You never know. Might start a downturn of results that could consequently to fuck up something else in the future. But I'm going to
21.
Yeah, 21. Yeah, but my heart says Spurs, but my head is telling me City are going to town on him because Harry Kane is out, and Spurs defense has more resistance than a Scouser woman on a Saturday night. So I took your line there.
Stealing my lines, you dirty bastard, you.
But
you dirty bastard. And it's more open than a Scouse girl's legs on a Saturday night, mate. Get it right if you're going to fucking nick it. Come on, son.
So, look, I'll go 2-1 Spurs. The bastard will win song to get a double.
2-1 Spurs, and they're going to be doing a parade down the Seven Sisters Road for themselves. I mean, Greg, are you thinking along the same lines as myself and Keane? Your heart is telling you that Spurs are going to do those dirty blue bastards in, and Ryan Mason's going to have a poetic justice to his career, or is it going to be City that just absolutely murder him?
See, I don't know. If it was Jose, I'd be saying, yeah, I think City will absolutely murder them because I think Tottenham would just invite too much pressure. But especially in that second half the other night, Tottenham looked so much better. Like, they were playing on the front foot. They just looked so much. They were all over Southampton for that second half, pretty much. And I've just had a feeling since Ryan Mason was appointed that he's going to do it. I just feel like he is. I don't know how. Obviously, Kane didn't train today, but I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if Harry Kane starts on Sunday. If Harry Kane's 50% fit, he's playing that game. Like, and there's no question about it, because all he would need is one half chance to fall to him, and you could be 1-0 up in a cup final, and then suddenly the whole narrative changes, the way you play changes. Yeah, I think Spurs are going to do it. I don't know why. I just feel like they're gonna. It would be quite funny to watch City's season crumble in the space of a couple of weeks, where they've been put out of 2 different competitions and they thought they were doing the quadruple, and they can have their double if they want it.
No, they fucking can't have their double. They cannot have the Champions League. The Champions League? No, I'm not letting them have that.
They're not having it. They're not going to do it anyway. I think Real Madrid will win that personally. Yeah, I think Spurs will do it. I'll go 2-0 Spurs.
2-0.
2-0. I mean, Greg has obviously been on the Clonmel champagne longer than me. But I'm going to go for a proper nervy nail biter. I'm going to say 1-0 goes to penalties, and Lucas Moura steps up, takes the winning pen. Whoa. And mate, I want a nail biter. One of my best mates is a Spurs fan. I want to see absolute. I want to see everyone's face when their bums are absolutely flapping, and they don't know what is going on in the world, man. They don't know what is going on. But that brings us.
Or the worst. Like that night in Moscow is quite up there with one of the worst nights and best nights of my life ever. Like, watching a penalty shootout in a cup final, just not having it.
I mean, I do remember us beating Spurs in the League Cup final on penalties. I think it was 09, yeah. Ben Foster, probably his best game for Man United. Fair play to him. I mean, the cycling goalkeeper. Fair play. He does his stuff now and again now. That comes to the end of the fixtures anyway. The ones that we care about anyway. But as I like to always end on a random question, in terms of now, the talk of Liverpool has just brought me to thinking about weekends away. You have your weekend away, maybe with the boys, maybe with the other half, maybe your significant other. What is your favourite place, favourite city? Could be within your own country. Favourite place to go away on the weekend. Have it large. You might be having it large with the boys. You might be having a romantic one with the missus. Whatever you prefer, whatever floats your boat.
The nicest place I've ever been, and I was talking to Sean about this in the group chat the other day. Earlier on, I was last year actually, once restrictions were lifted, me and my missus went and did the North Coast 500. So 500-mile drive right around the north coast of Scotland. Basically start at Inverness and you go all the way around, and we finished on the Isle of Skye. And Skye is without doubt the nicest place I've ever been. Hotel was right on the waterfront, sun was shining, alcohol was cold. It was absolutely brilliant. That is the nicest place I've ever been. So if you ever want to go somewhere in Scotland, I'd 100% recommend the Isle of Skye. It's so nice.
Isle of Skye, I'll make a note of that now. Definitely be heading there at some point in my life. I mean, Keno, mate, are you thinking a boys' trip? Are you thinking a romantic trip? What's in your mind?
Do you know one place I love traveling to? I've been there a couple of times. I flew over with the lads a couple of times. Is Newcastle in England. Newcastle, weekends away in Newcastle are just different gravy. Just love it. That's all I'm going to say.
Just love it. I mean, we've all seen Geordie Shore. I think we get the gist of that. I mean, to be fair, I know we hate the Scousers, but in my 3 years in living in Manchester, one of my favourites was to get the £5 train across to Liverpool to see my best mate who was living there at the time. And in terms of a night out, I don't think there's many better cities. I mean, I haven't visited Newcastle. I haven't seen what that city has to offer, although I'm not sure I want to after seeing Geordie Shaw. But in all fairness, mate, Liverpool, if you're ever thinking of a place to have a weekend with your mates or even with your missus, it's great crack. Like there's a place called Fusion, a bit of a random one here, but a place called Fusion, it doesn't really start to fill up until 4 o'clock in the morning. It's open until 7.
That's incredible.
Walk out at 3:30. You'd be thinking, time for a kebab, time for home. And you see this queue. It's just like the hottest. They're open until 7 in the morning. It's just mental. And I mean,
sounds like my type of place now, to be fair.
It's everyone's type of place after you've had a few beveraginos, as I do like to say. I mean, the gas off this cider. Sorry, lads, I've just been burping. Sorry. But that brings us to the end. And if you want to give yourselves a shout out there, Greggy boy, mate.
Yeah.
Where can the people find you?
Yeah, so just on Twitter at Greg_D_Chambers. That's Twitter and Instagram as well.
Greg_D_Chambers, the finest things that come out of Scotland since Kevin Bridges. Keno, mate, where can the people find you?
You can catch me on Twitter at Keen_Franey. Every day, guys, if you're a Manchester United fan, get your hashtag Glazers out. Tweet that every single day. No matter what you're tweeting, even if you're tweeting about what you got for Christmas, tweet hashtag Glazers out after it. So that's the most important thing to do. And also, you can catch me on the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. And we are going live at 8 o'clock and previewing Manchester United versus Leeds, as well as talking about the Super League fallout as well.
The Super League fallout. Do definitely catch it if you are available. I mean, thank you, Big Ron, again. Mate, please, find me on Instagram or something. Just give me a DM, because I love that you contribute like fuck out of all of these shows. Love it, mate. Give me a shout, and if you're around in Manchester, I'll see you for a pint. Anyone that is around in Manchester, I will happily have a pint with you. Don't have to ask that one. But for the protest tomorrow, going to be a big one. Get the Glazers out of our club. Get those verminous, blood-sucking leeches out of the club that we all love and adore. I've been Cotty Red 99. Please like, please share, please subscribe, and I will talk to you lot next week.